Hey everyone, welcome to the ATP project.
What?
You're with your host, Steve and Nic. Steve?
I know. How are you, Nic?
I'm good. See, people are going to come in and just think that I'm crazy, but we've just had 3 takes to get that right. I still got it wrong.
We are professional podcasters. We've been doing this for decades.
That's right.
But we're not professional podcasters. We're scientists.
apparently.
We're naturopaths. You're a naturopath.
Yep.
Nicole Brown, naturopathy. You're still in practice.
Yeah.
I'm not in practice because I can't stand it. Seeing patients whinging all day. Oh, that sounds terrible. But it's true. I wasn't my calling. My calling was science. And my first calling was chemistry before I did naturopathy.
Yes.
And guess what we're talking about today?
Not chemistry, but in a way, chemistry.
It's in a way, it's a good thing. We're talking about things like water, electrolytes, and sodium and potassium and chlorine. Chloride, I should say, the chloride ion. I keep chlorine.
Yeah, you said chlorine.
Cl2 is chlorine, which is the gas you pump into your filter. And, sterilised pools. We're going to talk about chloride ions.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about magnesium and calcium, electrolytes, some couple of cool herbs I'm going to ask you about later.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about water, but not only boring water. We're going to be talking about hydrogen water. What the hell's that? We're going to be talking about different shapes of water. What happens if you magnetise water? I mean, how cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
You get a hexavalent structure.
Yep.
So we've got a really interesting talk today because we're going to be talking about everything like to do with water and improving your performance.
Yes.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
We should start, though, with that most of our body is water, so it's kind of important.
That's
about
right.
65, 2/3, 65%, depending on how lean you are.
Yeah.
Down to 50% if you're overweight, because fat cells have less water, about 12% water.
Yeah.
Muscle cells are mostly water. So
50
water's...
to 70%. They say it's very hard to get an accurate actual measure, but 50 to 70%, pretty much like what you just said.
Well, can I go back in my physics days? Because in the olden days, when I worked in metagenics, we developed bioimpedance. And I developed software for that and did the maths for that.
Yes.
Because, I'm a physicist back from 1980s.
Yes.
And you put electrodes on your skin here and here.
Hang on, sorry, wait. Can we get back?
Yeah.
You developed bioimpedance.
Bioimpedance, not the actual bioimpedance, but the software that goes with it. So it gives you a couple of readings, what they call resistance and reactance, which mean nothing. And you plug them into mathematical formulas, you weigh the person, you take in the variables, and it can measure the body composition, how much fat you've got and all this sort of stuff. And it's very accurate. It's a gold standard accuracy. So we developed, I developed the maths for the software, works out how much muscle mass you can get and all sorts of things. But it works out how much water you've got. And how much body fat. Most people just use it for body fat.
Yeah.
So, and one reading makes no difference whatsoever. People think, oh, what's my fat? Doesn't matter. It's what it's going to be in a month.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? Like you're in practice. Doesn't matter how big the person is.
Yeah.
But water is really interesting because it can change in a heartbeat. If I have a sip of that, my water level goes up. Yeah. If I drink all that's about half a litre, that's half a kilogram of water extra for my body. So it's very important. It makes up most of your body.
It does make up most of your body.
So water, what does it do in the body? We'll go through some quick things and we'll get to the exciting stuff. So it regulates body temperature, doesn't it?
Regulates body temperature.
Yep.
Helps with cellular metabolism as well.
Yes.
Yep, which is good. So for energy production.
Yeah, okay. So just stop. Sorry to interrupt you, but you could be fatigued because you haven't drunk enough water.
That's right, yeah. And that's a really common thing that I see. Really common thing. People say, I'm so tired. I'm like, well, how much water are you drinking? Oh, maybe half a litre a day. I'm like, well, there. So, yeah, definitely. So you need it for that energy production. So at a cellular level.
Yep.
Improved blood circulation, oxygen delivery, so also nutrient delivery, that sort of thing.
So oxygen delivery, to make energy in your body, like from a chemist point of view, you need the fuel. Say it's glucose, you add oxygen to it and you get some CO2 and water you make and ATP, which is the energy.
Yep.
So you need the oxygen to get to the cells to give yourself energy. And that's why a lot of people get iron deficient. We're not talking about that today, but that means you can't transport the oxygen.
That's right.
And that's a cause of fatigue. So it could just be dehydration.
It could just be dehydration, exactly.
All right.
Enhanced physical performance, which we're going to go into a bit more later. So we'll park that for now. Obviously prevents fatigue, as you said, with and headaches as well.
Headaches, well, that's important because the headaches is you get vasoconstriction.
Yes.
And vasoconstriction is what triggers migraines and all that sort of thing. So it could be dehydration. You're getting these migraines or something, you could be dehydrated.
Yeah.
Because it's the same mechanism. And then you get a reactive vasodilation. And the drugs, the triptans that treat this, constrict the blood vessels back to normal.
Yeah.
So absolutely, it could just be, oh, I'm going to drink some water now. It could be headaches. What else to do?
What else? So it helps you maintain electrolyte balance, which again, we're going to go into a lot more detail
Big time.
on that. So we'll skip over that one for now. Improves digestion and nutrient absorption.
Yep.
Which is really interesting. So if you're dehydrated, it can definitely impact how well you digest. Mm-hmm. Supports brain function and mental energy. So, someone says, I'm really got brain fog and I just can't concentrate. It could well just be dehydration that's causing that. So that's it. That's a really big one. Mm-hmm. It boosts mood and reduces fatigue. Mm-hmm. And it helps with detoxification, obviously through kidneys, bowel, that sort of thing, and energy renewal.
Wow.
So
that's top 9. Things. Yeah, that's what water does in 3 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. Now, okay, so how does the water get into our body? Like, what's the process? Let's talk about that, because people just drink it. And
that's it. What happens then? They drink the water and what happens?
And it's important, this, because it's going on to electrolytes. So tell us about the diffusion of water across the gut.
So the water has to get into the cells.
Yes.
Right. So, and the thing is, cells have what we call lipid bilayer. So it has 2 layers of lipids, and lipids are fats.
Yes.
And what happens when you get some water and put fat in it?
Yeah.
Nothing. It doesn't mix,
mixes,
right?
No.
So it's kind of challenging for the water to get through this cell, because the cells are hydrophobic.
Phobic?
Means that they're scared of water.
That's right. That's what it exactly means. Phobios is Greek for a fear of. And hydros is water, is the lack of water.
Yeah, so it's very difficult for it to get through.
Yeah.
So it's a fairly significant, it's a fairly intricate process, but the cell, the layers sort of open in a way that actually pull the water droplets through into the intracellular, so inside the cell. So it's a fairly difficult process, and it's quite a slow process as well. Mm-hmm. So if you need to hydrate very quickly, there is another way that the body does it, and it's through something that was discovered around about 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
I think it's around about 10 years ago.
Wow, okay. Yeah, sure, let's go for it.
So there's something called aquaporins.
Aquaporins, yeah.
Aquaporins. And these are little proteins that create like a hydrophilic. So hydrophilic means easy. Yep. And they create like a little channel through into the cell, where the water can just go through. It goes both ways, and also, solutes and things. Yep. And it can get in much quicker. And these aquaporins are all through, like in a lot of areas in our body, in the epithelial lining of the gut and all that sort of thing in the cells.
Now, that's interesting, because let's just say that you're hunting and gathering. Because now we've got water everywhere. There's taps around this factory everywhere, and we can drink water anytime we want. We serve it at our desk, blah, blah, blah. But back when you were out there hunting and gathering in the bush, and you didn't carry a water bottle, you just had to come across stream, you drank from the stream. You had to hydrate quickly, because you could be dehydrated at that time. And if you had to wait for it to get to the large colon where a lot of water's absorbed, you'd probably be dead.
You'd probably be.
So, and you mentioned hydrophilic and hydrophobic. Water, for those people who don't know, is everyone's heard H2O. I think people know that. Yeah. The shape of water is like a V shape. It's got an oxygen at one and then 2 hydrogens, right? So there's a thing in chemistry. See, this is what we're talking about today, and this fellow like talking chemistry because it sounds
nerdy. So excited today. He was so excited.
It's like chemistry. Yeah, it's my little field. I think. Yeah, it was great doing naturopathy, because I got exempt from chemistry because I was a chemist.
Yeah, of course.
And it was but there was some chemistry on our anatomy, and it's like so easy. I got you go. Oh, what's the bone called? Can't remember. It could be this one. I think it's this one. Chemistry was like, I know this.
Yeah, I know. You didn't have to struggle like the rest of us.
Yeah, so you got water as a V shape, and you got 2 hydrogens and oxygen. Now, the oxygen, there's a thing in chemistry called electronegativity, and it's like the sexiness of the atom to electrons, and how electrons attract to them. And you might think, that sounds a bit weird, but it's true. It's called electronegativity. So oxygen is a high electronegativity. So the electrons, remember electrons, according to quantum physics, I know you love quantum physics. You love quantum physics.
I do love it, yeah.
Is in the olden days, there was a guy called Niels Bohr, who said that the electrons go round it like in your shell, and you probably learned about the Bohr anatomy, but electrons are sort of everywhere all at once because they travel at the speed of light. Yeah. So they mainly hang out around the oxygen. So if you've got mainly electrons there, it becomes what they call slightly, is the last thing, negative. So it's got a negative end and a positive end. So it's what we call a polar molecule. It's got poles, a plus and a minus pole, like a magnet, north and south, but it's a plus and minus. So oil is non-polar.
Yes.
Okay, it's if you look at the carbons, it's got these stupid things with hydrogens. All that. That's what fat is. It's boring as shit. It's got two things in it. Yes. All right. It's got hydrogen and oxygen and carbon, and it's non-polar. It's got no sexy ends to it. There's no sexiness. Yeah. Okay, but water is sexy. It's like a V. It's like two legs. Like, and I'm just trying to stop there. It's got legs and so the electrons hang around there. So it's and so anything polar or anything positive or negative will attract to water. And so that's why water won't mix with oil.
That's right.
You can mix them, but you have to use what we call a surfactant, which has a charged end and a non-charged end. So have you ever heard of Morning Fresh?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I've helped formulate that.
Yes. No. I was
a detergent chemist for 4 years. How exciting. Now that's on my resume with the girls. So you can mix them. So that, when you wash your dishes, you use a surfactant to get the oily off the plate into the water and down the sink.
Exactly.
So that's why water can't be absorbed across the fat bilayer.
Yes.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, very interesting. I really like your description, much better than mine. So, it is harder. But so these aquaporins do help you absorb much quicker, and either to absorb it quickly or to expel it quickly as well. Yeah. So there's times when you need to expel it quickly, like tears, things like that.
You cry sometimes.
I do cry.
You cry laughing.
Yes, you make me cry all the time, Steve.
That is so funny. I do make you cry a bit.
I have very loose tear ducts.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I'm going to say that.
Oh, you're funny. Yeah. God. So aquaporins, I love it. I love it.
So that's So then, Steve, we can sort of think, well, some of them can drink a lot of water and they just feel like they're just continually dehydrated.
Correct.
Like it doesn't get in there. So why? Why does that happen?
Yeah.
What can cause that poor sort of absorption?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have something called hyponatremia, which is low sodium.
Yes.
So explain to us what happens when you do have low sodium.
All right. So if you've got low cellular sodium, the sodium works by trapping water via a process called osmosis. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. That's when water moves from a high concentration to a low concentration of water. So inside the cells, when you've got sodium there, there's a lower concentration than just the pure water you drink. Well, actually, this is loaded with magnesium, but we would say it's normal water. So sodium holds onto the water into the cell. And if you've got too low a sodium, it leaks out of the cell. And then you can get, let's say I have like my nuts, right? They're very salty, my nuts, right? Yes. Too much of that, sodium causes the salt to completely leave the body and because the water gets sucked out by the sodium. Because sodium, remember, is a positive ion.
Yes.
And it attracts water. Because remember, water's got the slightly negative, it takes it away with it. So, but the good news, and you might think, oh, well, sodium's, and my nuts will dehydrate you, but they won't because they've got a lot of kali in it, which is Latin for potassium. Now, potassium is like the yin and yang of sodium.
It is.
And it's an intracellular mineral which holds on to the water as well. So you've got to have this balance of sodium and potassium. And we do. Yeah. And that's why the chemical symbol for sodium is Na, natrium. And the chemical symbol for potassium is K.
Yeah.
It's not P.
No.
So it's phosphorus P. So it's a bit confusing when you're starting off your chemistry in year 10. You're going, why is there a bloody K?
Yeah.
And so it's quite funny. So your potassium and your sodium actually help with the electrolytes in your body. Now, do you have to be perfect and eat sodium, potassium? No, because your kidneys regulate this. Yeah. There's hormones that tell the kidneys what to do, like aldosterone and all this sort of thing. And so you don't need super duper to be perfectly accurate because the body will regulate it. But of course, eating a healthy diet. And sodium is found is very high in often refined foods and salt added, things like mine. And potassium is very high in natural foods.
That's right.
So if you have salt on your vegetables or salt in your nuts, like sodium chloride salt, totally fine.
Yeah.
100%. So, yeah.
Excellent.
So it's very interesting, isn't it?
It is very interesting. So electrolyte imbalance is one reason why you can maybe just not be absorbing your water very well. Malfunction of the aquaporins, which we said before.
Yep.
So there is some genetic conditions that can impact that.
Yep.
That can cause obviously inability to absorb water fairly quickly.
Yep.
Osmotic imbalance, Steve.
There's that osmosis thing I talked about before.
So where the water moves in and out of the cells. So if you're hypertonic, so have a higher concentration of solutes.
Hyper meaning high.
Yep, then inside the cell.
Yep.
So that water will leave the cell, causing cellular dehydration. Or if the extracellular environment is hypotonic, so it has a lower concentration of the solutes, water may excessively enter the cell. So potentially causing cellular swelling or even bruising.
Yes.
So you get bruised cells, Steve.
Oh, God, I hate getting bruised cells. Jeez. It's funny because everyone says, is sodium salt bad? Is sodium... And what we call it, we talk about this as a U-shaped relationship. And we've got some diseases with U-shaped relationship. And what U-shaped relation, you might hear it a bit today, is that too lower is bad, too high is bad. But if you think of a U-shape, and for those who are watching, down the bottom here is the healthy range where it's in the middle. It's not too low and not too high. Yeah. So we're actually saying that salt's not bad and potassium's not bad, but too much or too little of these, I mean, your kidneys can regulate this pretty regularly. Yeah. But if you've got an issue in your body, absolutely, or you're on diuretics, you're on drugs that can change this, it's really easy to change, or if you exercise a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it.
Okay, so would you want to talk about, you mentioned here excessive fluid loss. You can certainly get diarrhea. So one of the great causes of death in third world countries is Giardia, because you literally get diarrhea and lose all the electrolytes and literally dehydrate. Yeah. And you can drink all the water in the world, you just can't catch up to it.
No.
And if you haven't got access to IV fluids, you'll literally die.
Yep.
So too much, I think. There's a few other diseases that are a problem, and one of them is called diabetes mellitus.
Yes.
Now, diabetes mellitus, you want to tell us about that? Well,
that means that's when you have high levels of glucose in the blood, hypoglycemia. So you can create hypertonic extracellular environment. So that leads to that osmotic diuresis. Steve. So that higher glucose levels can cause the water to leave the cells.
Absolutely.
And then obviously they lose a lot of fluid. So in the urine. So people pee a lot. That's one of the symptoms of diabetes.
It affects their ADH levels in their brain, antidiuretic hormone, which stops you diureticing too much.
Yes.
And it screws with that. So you just pee everything out.
Peeing out.
Real bad.
Really bad, yeah. Cell membrane damage is another one, Steve.
Ooh.
So the cell membrane acts as a barrier. It helps to control that fluid and ion transport. So if the membrane's damaged, so toxins, oxidative stress, which is super common, right, these days, infections, trauma, things like that damages the integrity of the cell, and then it can't control that fluid exchange very well. So that's another reason. Edema and fluid retention disorders.
Yeah.
So excess fluid can accumulate outside the cells in some of these disorders. So things like heart failure, that sort of thing can result.
Congestive heart failure is probably one of the more common causes of death.
Yeah.
And that's when your heart doesn't pump enough to pump through the kidneys to help with diuresis. So you just get a build-up of fluids. And they give these people drugs like Lasix or diuretics, what they call them. So you have to, or you just simply become water overloaded. It happens a lot in hospital.
Yeah.
It's quite dangerous.
Yeah. Good. Hormone imbalances is another one, Steve. Antidiuretic hormone dysfunction.
Yep.
So ADH, also known as vasopressin, regulates water retention by the kidneys.
Yep.
So when your ADH levels are low, your body loses excessive amounts of water.
Yeah.
So that can be one reason.
So that's diabetes insipidus.
Yeah.
So it's another form of diabetes, and people think, oh, diabetes, that's the sugar thing. No, not in this case.
No.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Aldosterone deficiency.
Yep. So now that's very common.
Yeah. So that helps regulate sodium, potassium levels in the body. So when that hormone is low, so things like Addison's disease. Yeah. So when sodium can be lost in that way.
Yeah.
Kidney disease is another reason we may not be able to absorb water. I mean, that's pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah, that's
regulates our water. fluid and that sort of thing. So that's another one. Age-related changes. So basically aging, in general, it really messes with a lot of systems.
Yeah, you're looking at me when you say that.
And also older adults, they don't have that thirst they don't have that thirst sort of trigger that we do when you're younger.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say make sure they're drinking. A lot of older people will overheat in and dehydrate in the heat because they don't have that sort of that trigger for thirst. So
incredibly
that's why
bad.
you've got to keep an eye on your oldies when it's really hot.
Yep. And oldies, everything else breaks down, like your kidneys, you got more risk of diabetes insipidus, you got more risk of cellular damage and more risk of everything.
Yeah.
And a crappy diet.
Well, yeah.
As you age, right. It's like you end up in an old age home and say the food's not great there, or, you're living alone and you can't be bothered with dinner and you just eat biscuits or with something dodgy.
Yeah. It's not good.
Very dangerous, really dangerous aging.
Yeah. Prolonged physical exertion, Steve, obviously.
Oh, you lose so much. We've got a paper on that, lady. You wouldn't believe how much we lose.
Yeah, I know. It's quite interesting.
It's like a lot. Yeah.
Gastrointestinal disorders, so like vomiting, diarrhea, malabsorption disorders and things like that. That can really impact your fluid, electrolyte loss, balance, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So there's some other reasons that you may not be absorbing overly well. So people that, and I see it in clinic a lot, I drink so much water, but I'm just always thirsty.
Yeah.
So they're just not absorbing it cellularly.
Okay. Now, do you want to talk about the exercise one? Because that's where a lot of people are listening to. I've got a paper here on it. It's published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology in 2019. It says exercise intensity effects on total sweat, electrolyte losses, and regional versus whole sweat. So it depends on certain areas, and then what they've picked on is 3 minerals here: sodium, chlorine, and potassium. And it surprised me because guess which electrolyte you lose the most?
I'm going to say sodium.
I think I told you earlier.
No, you didn't, Steve.
I did not.
Don't trust me. Don't trust me.
It's kind of sodium, but it's actually chlorine. So if you have a look at that graph there, I'm just holding it up in front of everyone here, you can see that these bar graphs, this is low intensity, this is high intensity. You see the higher graph? That's the chloride ion. So isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
So chloride. So when you're looking at, and there's another one at the end there, look how much potassium you lose, bugger all.
Oh, wow, yeah.
See, I didn't think of that.
Very minimal.
Now, in the olden days, there was a thing called salt tablets.
Yes.
Because salt is, sorry for the chemist, sodium chloride. So sodium and chlorine are the 2 things you lose the most of. So especially at higher intensities, you lose, and I'm just going to, pick on sodium here, but you lose 150 milligrams of high intensity exercise that goes for a 90-minute exercise. So in 90 minutes, if you do a HIIT or whatever the trendy word is for it these days, I should know that, HIIT or whatever they call those crossfitting HIIT things, you can lose 1.5 grams of salt.
Wow.
So, that's 90 minutes. Now, for running, if you run for 90 minutes, if I've run for 90 minutes, I lose 1.5 grams of sodium. It means I need 4 grams of sodium chloride to replace just that simple little activity.
Yeah, wow.
Amazing. Now I run for an hour in the morning, no problem at all, very regularly. Tomorrow morning I'm running for an hour and before our podcast. So if I'm hobbling in here, just don't laugh. You do laugh. You always pick on
you. Yeah.
You laugh.
So I walk behind you, Steve, as I make faces and point.
Oh, I thought you were checking my butt out.
No.
Oh, okay.
Joking. We're joking.
I love it. So I could lose 1 gram of sodium just by going for a run in the morning. That's a lot, isn't it?
That is a lot. Yeah, it really is a lot.
Well, if you look at the graph, it tells you there, look at that, 1.5 grams.
Obviously, that accounts for different type. Someone that sweats. Some people don't sweat as much as others. So
that's right.
Obviously, that's a factor. I don't sweat.
Today was pretty. You don't sweat?
No, I'm not a sweater. I never have been. I don't like it. I'd like to be a sweater.
Men sweat a lot.
Yeah, men do sweat a lot. Some women sweat a lot too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So and this is a lot of sodium. So you've got to replace that. And let's say you're a health nut. And when I say health nut, I'm not picking on them, but say you're like, I don't want to have salt, it's bad for you. And you want to, like when I was growing up, sodium was bad. It was the devil incarnate. So we avoided salt and limit it and all this sort of stuff. And we have done a podcast on salt. So we can review that one. But basically you can have quite a large amounts of salt, more than what they recommend, and you live longer.
Yeah.
So But in this case, you should be exercising. And if you're low intensity exercise, you lose about 600 milligrams of sodium, not salt, sodium.
Yeah, sodium.
So incredible. Not much potassium, lots of chlorine.
That's right.
Chloride.
Chlorine. Did you swim today, Steve?
No, but
Because you've been
yesterday
saying chlorine all day, all morning. So, Steve, let's ask the age-old question.
Yeah.
How much water should we actually
hang on.
drink?
Let me guess. 8 glasses a day, like everybody tells me?
Yeah, 8 by 8. They say 8 glasses in 8 hours.
Really?
But no.
No.
There's actually I scoured the research database to find any scientific evidence to support that.
Yep.
And there is none.
Oh. So I've been telling fallacies all these years.
So there's a few sort of anecdotal things that maybe it came from, but nothing. There's nothing research based. So no, the 8 glasses of water, not so much. So and there's so many variables to trying to figure out how much water you should take in. You know, so like age, health status, how much exercise you do, the climate that you live in, your body mass. Like there's so much in it. So
whether you're a man or a woman,
so there's
women
so many
need less.
Yeah, so many variables. So the 8 by 8 is really not. But to be honest, if somebody really doesn't drink a lot, then saying have 8 glasses of water a day is very beneficial because at least they go, okay, I've got a target. So, but a lot of the data, most of the data that I could find suggested around 2.7 litres for women and 3.7 litres for men. But that includes fluid from foods.
Right.
Not just
so
water.
what foods are high in fluids?
So all your high water content foods, so lettuce, cucumber, celery, watermelon, grapes, apples, oranges, pineapples, strawberries, carrots, cabbage, broccoli, pears.
Jesus.
So you are hydrating when you're eating. If you're eating a nice healthy whole food diet, you're getting your fruits and vegetables in there, you are also getting fluids from there. So that 2.7 litres, say for a female, you know, some of that will be coming from your fruits and vegetables anyway. So
it's good.
Yeah.
I find it interesting, the 3.7 litres for men, because that's exactly a gallon in the old scale.
Is it?
You might remember the old scale.
I wasn't around in the old scale.
1966, the old scale.
No, I definitely wasn't around then.
I wasn't around there. But that's a gallon exactly. So if you're listening from America, a gallon of water a day, approximately. Look, if you're a marathon runner, you're going to be more.
A fluid a day.
A fluid a day, yeah.
Yeah.
So that includes beer?
I'm going to say no on that.
We're going to say no because beer suppresses antidiuretic hormones, so you end up with more diuresis.
Well, alcohol in general, right?
Yeah.
That's why you pee a lot when you drink alcohol.
I wouldn't know. I don't drink alcohol.
No.
I honestly don't.
I don't.
But yeah, you're right.
Either.
It's
drank alcohol in a long time.
No, I haven't either. We're so boring, aren't we? What happened? Incredible. And what I do with fluids and you know, because I was trying to look for sort of clear fluids.
Yes.
But then you take riboflavin, because I take riboflavin in a supplement, and that makes your pee sort of yellow.
Yeah.
So you got to allow for that. But I always try and make sure I'm peeing about every 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's another way people use to see where they got the fluids up.
Yeah.
So there's 2 ways. But I like all those foods. Now, you got to remember the carbohydrates in those foods, like you mentioned apples. They've got fructose and glucose, which is C6H12O6, right? That's the chemical formula.
Yeah.
And you see it's got H12O6. That can be converted into H2O. And it's 6 of those, right?
Yes.
So it's actually got water. Carbohydrate has water. And how do you get rid of the carbon? The C6?
Yeah.
You breathe.
Yeah.
Because you add oxygen O2 to C, and you get CO2, you breathe water out and you make water.
It's amazing, isn't
cool,
it?
Mate. That's called respiration.
Very cool.
Plants do the opposite. That's why we have to water our plants, because they take in CO2, because CO2 is plant food.
Yeah.
And you add water to it and it forms C6, H12O6, or glucose, which is the building block to cellulose.
Amazing.
Not cellulose. Yes. Interesting. All right, Nic.
Yeah, Steve.
I want to ask you about Dr. Sims. Dr. What's her first name?
Stacey.
Stacey Sims. That's right. Geez, there you go. I forgot. Dr. Sims is a legend in our industry.
I love Dr. Stacey Sims. If she ever wants to come on the show, you're listening to Dr. Stacey Sims.
There we go.
Amazing.
You're listening, Stacey.
Very into exercise science, but she actually did a PhD on hydration. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's. Sorry, my throat's gone funny again now. I must need a drink. I'm dehydrated, Steve.
Yeah, I didn't bring a drink in with you. Oh, you did? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah, so she did a PhD in hydration.
Well, we've got to ask her take on it. I mean, you know, what's her take on it with regards to, well, what indicators does she recognise where you need to drink water? Now, and I'm a fan of like I don't feel thirsty now. I'm drinking that because it's got nice stuff in it that I like to drink. It's good for me. But what are the, you know, what's her take on where does she see the need for more hydration? Like what are some of the indications she recommends?
Well, some of the indications of underhydration, so dizziness, lightheadedness, fatigue, moodiness or irritability, Steve. So you must be dehydrated a lot of the time.
Always dehydrated.
Poor appetite, elevated metabolism.
Okay.
Nausea.
Yep.
Cramps.
Cramps, yeah.
Dark, low volume of urine.
Yeah.
It's pretty common. Decreased exercise performance, so that fatigue comes into play again. Heat intolerance during exercise. Hypohydration, so if you're hydrating.
Yeah. Okay, so it's very interesting because, you know, when I was away on the weekend camping, a guy I camped with, he said, I slept all through the night and I didn't even get up to pee because it was really hot on Sunday. And because Monday was a public holiday here, or Australia-wide, we camped Sunday night and, you know, it was very hot Sunday. And so he didn't drink enough because he said, I woke up and, you know, I felt a bit ordinary and I didn't even get up to pee at night. And, you know, he's an old man like me. So he should have got up and peed at night, but he didn't. And also in the morning he said, I barely went. And he said it was just a real, you know, earthy colour, his urine. It's like, oh,
that's not good.
Oh, he's a shocker, you know, shocker. So,
yeah.
You know, that's what you got to watch out for. Look for, like if you're sitting there, and I do this too, I don't feel thirsty, but if I haven't peed for a couple of hours, I'm like, do I need to go? And it's like, I don't really even need to go now.
Yeah.
And so that's not a really good sign.
It's not because I find that people who are dehydrated can be chronically dehydrated, don't feel thirsty.
Yeah.
And then a lot of and the other thing is I see a lot of people say, yeah, but if I drink, I just pee all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yes.
That's why you got a bladder and a...
That's right, kidneys, they're working. So, but I think that's part of it is you lose that sort of thirst indicator when you don't drink enough, like chronically don't drink enough. So they go, I never get thirsty. I'm like, well, that does not mean that you're not dehydrated.
No.
So I don't think you can really rely on your thirst indicator.
Yeah, no, it used to be the thing in the olden days when I was learning about Chinese medicine, you only drink when you're thirsty and certain times a year. And it's like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should be onto it a bit more than that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. And especially if you know, like when I ran the marathon, the fastest I ever run it, I only stopped once for a pee halfway through the race at 2 hours. And after the race, even though I was drinking like I'm, you know, but I'm running as fast as I bloody possibly can. It was a pretty warm day. And at the end of it, after 2 hours, I didn't need to go to the loo. And I would swear to you I drank enough water, but I didn't.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask a question for someone who doesn't run marathons, Steve.
Oh,
this might sound silly.
Okay.
Do you stop and go to the toilet somewhere or do you – because you're going to lose time, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, God, how serious am I? Do you think I'm Robert De Costello or something?
I really have never actually thought about that. Do you actually have to stop and pee or do you sort of just like a bottle around the back? I don't know.
A bottle of what?
A bottle around the back on the way and pee in a bottle? Well, I don't know.
You know, if you're an elite runner, they run it in just over 2 hours. So they don't pee during the race because they're running.
So that's why I was thinking you wouldn't pee when you wouldn't pee the whole time. So some people do.
I do because it takes me 4 hours to run the stupid marathon. But yeah, no, a lot of people pee. They always have things on the side of the road like those thingos, you know, toilets and that sort of
right. Okay.
Those little blue box things that stink.
They're called a mobile, what are they called? Portaloo, Steve.
Portaloo, yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, you know, I stopped once, but I remember at the end of it, I was sitting down and I feel like crap because you do feel like crap after you finish. And I was drinking some stuff and there was some, you know, apple there and I thought I'll get electrolytes back in and I hobbled across to my car, hobbled home and hobbled upstairs to lie down because it's just, and I'm thinking, I don't really need to pee. And that was probably 3 hours by the time I got home since my last pee. And I thought, that's a terrible thing. So I drank as much as my stomach could take before feeling uncomfortable and then just lay down for a bit. And it took me days to recover from that hydration. Like, you know, it really, you can be dehydrated chronically.
100% you can. I see it all the time.
Oh, yeah, you would too.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking a lot about hydration and that sort of thing. So what, you know, what happens when we become dehydrated? So there's you know, moderate, severe, and then catastrophic dehydration.
It's like death.
Because it does happen. I mean, whether you're a runner or whether you're lost on a raft. You know, you could be out to sea, you can't drink seawater. Obviously, it's too salty, or something like. What are the 3 stages of dehydration? Like, what happens to our body? Okay, I get mildly dehydrated. What happens?
So mild dehydration is really just a 1 to 2% loss of body weight.
Yep.
So that you get increased thirst.
Yep.
You get a dry mouth.
Yep.
You'll get decreased urine output. It was the same before. So the kidneys will start to conserve water by producing less and more concentrated urine. That's why it goes darker. And then a slight decrease in blood volume, which you're not going to really know. You have that. So, so that can also cause energy reductions and performance during physical activity.
It's kind of what happened to me when I was on the Sunday when we were at this camping thing. We had a few events on the Oval because I was with the club. And we were out there. I was out there for an hour and a half too, and it was hot sun. And I didn't feel thirst. I felt a bit thirsty at the end of that. So that would have been me. You know, this happens very commonly, and I'm pretty conscious with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people in the mild dehydration state a lot of the time. People aren't super conscious about their water intake. Yeah. Really common sort of
you're sitting, you know, we were in Queensland. It's a warm day today, but we're sitting in air conditioning. So I'm not hot. I don't feel like drinking. It's like I'm sort of, you know, you could easily become dehydrated sitting here.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the next stage? Let's get more interesting.
All right, so moderate dehydration, so 3 to 5% body weight loss, fluid loss. So you will start to get an elevated heart rate.
All right.
So as your blood volume goes down, the heart compensates by increasing its rate to try to maintain blood pressure and oxygen delivery. Lower blood pressure. So you can get that lightheadedness, that dizziness that comes along with that. When you stand up quickly, that can be part of that. Dry skin. So your skin will lose elasticity. Fatigue and weakness, we talked about. So energy levels drop. Headaches, we also talked about that. So, like changes in blood volume and pressure and that sort of thing can cause the headaches. And then you have severe dehydration, which is 6 to 10% body 6 to 10% body weight.
So 10%. So I could be down 7 litres of water.
Yeah.
7 litres.
That's a lot of water.
Because a litre of water is a kilogram, just so people know. Now I'm 77 kilos, so 7.7. That's 10%.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fluid loss. Now just that's like 14 of those.
Yeah. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Isn't it when you say it like that?
That's a lot, isn't it?
It is a lot.
But it happens, doesn't it?
It can
so
happen.
what happens?
Severe, not really that as common, but it can happen.
It can happen.
So you get a rapid heart rate and breathing.
Yep.
So the lungs and the heart have to work a lot harder to compensate for the reduced blood volume.
Yep.
Severe drop in blood pressure. So fainting, confusion, disorientation, shriveled skin. Reduced urination or no urination. If there's no urination, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
So sunken eyes and dry eyes. So and impaired cognitive function.
Yep.
So that's pretty bad.
No.
I mean, that's when you probably lost out in the bush without any water. Or, I don't know. Or lost at sea, maybe.
Well,
isn't that ironic? You lost at sea and you're dehydrating surrounded by water.
In World War II, there was a group of soldiers that crashed a plane and they got onto a life raft, and they were at sea for 20-something days, and then were found by, at that stage, the enemy Japanese. I
saw that. There's a movie, right?
They did make a movie out of it.
I saw that. It was a great movie. What's the name there?
I don't remember the name of the movie.
It was a good movie, though.
But yeah, they were lost at sea, so it was like an experiment in seeing what happened to you.
Yeah.
And they survived on rainwater, and because you can't live 24 days without water. You live for about 3, I think, 3 or 4.
Yeah. It's not
no one's tested it because it's a very, very bad thing to experiment with.
Obviously, this is what happens. And then you get to the stage, which is probably pre-death, really.
Yeah, pre-death.
Critical dehydration, so greater than 10% body weight loss. That's a lot. So this is where you'll have organ failure.
Yep.
So kidneys, heart, brain can fail because they don't get enough blood supply.
Yep.
And the electrolyte imbalances, obviously. Here's something else probably not great. Coma and death.
Oh, that's probably not great.
Yeah. So dehydration can lead to shock, coma, death.
Yep.
So the circulatory system collapses and you get the electrolyte imbalances. So obviously you're really not going to see anyone in that in that stage. But the mild dehydration, as I said, I think is really common.
All the time.
Even moderate to a degree for a lot of people that really don't drink enough water.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, incredible. You see that quite often, even the moderate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about electrolytes in the body and that sort of thing. We've talked about sodium and potassium a bit. We want to talk about a few other electrolytes that are important for your water and performance. I'm trying to keep it into a performance sort of aspect here where we can, because we're talking primarily to people who are going to be dehydrated due to exercise.
Yes.
So to hold on to your water, you need electrolytes like sodium, potassium, but magnesium. Magnesium plays a role in the muscles and that sort of thing too. Do you want to just give us 3 quick things about what magnesium does in the body?
Yep. So muscle relaxation.
Yep.
So helps with counters calcium, which is when the muscles contract.
So when I rip my bicep like that, there's a lot of calcium going in there.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want to do too much because the rippling muscle will be burst and you just can't keep your eyes off the muscle.
No,
but there's the magnesium is like calcium channel blocker.
Yeah.
So we give magnesium to people with high blood pressure because it stops calcium going into the arteries, which constricts the arteries. So you get vasodilation. And then Vempramil, which is a drug that it does the same thing. It's called a calcium channel blocker drug.
Yes.
There you go. Guess what that does?
Yes.
No need to think. But what else does magnesium do in the body?
Helps with ATP utilization, so
energy.
adenosine triphosphate, so energy production.
Yep.
So it's required for the activation of your ATP.
Yep.
Enzyme function. So it's a cofactor for a lot of different enzymes that are involved in energy production, muscle contraction, things like that. So
350.
Yes.
The last paper I read on that.
See, I've read 400. I've read up to 600. There's somewhere in there.
Well, zinc and magnesium combined have like a 600 something enzymes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's incredible. Okay, so let's just talk about other weird things like electrolytes. Like how about we talk about chlorine, because we lose a lot of the chloride iron.
Why did you say
Because chlorine is the chemical name for it. It's on it. But the chloride iron,
Yeah, chloride. So what does chloride do in the body? So it helps with stabilising membrane potential. Steve.
Right. So that's the function of the cell. Yeah. Very important.
Prevents overexcitability.
Yep.
Muscle relaxation.
Yeah.
That's another one. So it helps returning that muscle membrane to its resting state.
You remember people who lose a lot of sweat, they get muscle cramps?
Yes.
That's chlorine deficiency. Chloride deficiency.
Yes.
Chloride deficiency. Chloride deficiency.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just go to the last mineral I've got listed here. What about calcium? What does that do?
So that, as we said, helps with the muscle contraction.
It is, yeah.
It's also for reuptake, for relaxation. After contraction, calcium is actively pumped back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which allows the muscles to relax.
Because calcium, when it goes into the cell, activates it.
Yeah.
Calcium goes in your brain, it activates it. And that's why magnesium helps you sleep.
That's right.
Because it switches your brain off.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so they're very, very important for water and for muscle contraction, that sort of thing. Now, I'm going to hit you up with a few little other weirdo things. What about, there's another thing we find that's often bound with these minerals, particularly magnesium, and it's called aspartate. That's an amino acid or aspartic acid.
Yeah.
It's called aspartate when it's bound with magnesium, but it's aspartic acid. What does that do with all the muscle stuff?
So that helps, that's involved in the Krebs cycle, Steve. So it's an amino acid that plays a role in the Krebs cycle, which is part of our energy production pathway. So it also helps generate ATP, obviously, which we talked about. And it supports muscle recovery as well. So it helps with the production of other amino acids that are important for the recovery and energy metabolism. So, yeah, aspartate, very important.
And it's amazing because we talk about what's the best form of magnesium. It's like, what are you using it for?
100%, yes.
Using it for exercise, this one.
Yeah.
Using it to sleep, it's the threonate or the glycinate. Using it for energy, it's if it's citrate. But it's like they're all important. There's no best form.
No.
It's like,
they'll have their place and depending on what they're...
Yeah, it's like, what's the best vitamin? It's like, it's a bit weird.
What are you needing it for, basically?
Well, all right. So because we talk mainly to athletes and we try and sort of keep the athletes going, I want to ask you about a couple of herbs. Couple of herbs such as Schisandra.
Schisandra. I love Schisandra.
Yeah. I mean, we use it for lots of stuff, don't we?
So many different things.
But let's get to, because we're talking about hydration and athletes here when they're exercising. What does it do for that?
So very good for athletes sort of rehydrating. So it's very good for stress management. It's an adaptogen, as you said. So it helps the body adapt to physical stressors or exercise is a stressor.
Yep.
So it helps to reduce fatigue, improves endurance, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And enhances physical performance, increases stamina, overall energy production, supports better oxygen utilization.
Wow.
Delays fatigue. So that's really important.
So Sandra also berries, so they're antioxidants.
Berries, yes. So it reduces muscle damage.
Yes.
So it helps. So when you exercise, it creates oxidative stress in the body. So that helps to reduce that oxidative stress. So then reduced oxidative stress means faster recovery, that type of thing. And mental focus. So depending on your sport, you've got to have good clarity.
Yeah, of course.
Gym, all that sort of
It's
stuff.
always thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Even at the gym, I want mental focus.
Well, that's right. So Shazandra, it helps enhance cognitive function.
Great.
Clarity.
And another herb that we use a lot in athletes is turmeric.
Yeah.
What do you know about that one?
Well, turmeric has what does turmeric not do, really?
Cooks your breakfast, does everything for you.
Exactly. But from an athletic perspective, so it is the anti-inflammatory impact, obviously, going to help with the exercise-induced inflammation, soreness, all of that sort of thing. So your DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. But isn't it called something else now?
Well, I named it years ago. I call it DOFs.
Oh, that's right.
I know, it's stupid because it's the fascia where you get the damage. So I called it DOFs.
The DOFs, yeah. I like DOFs better. Let's
Dof.
I'm just going to do the same.
Yeah. See, that's it.
Our brains are...
So if you listen to the podcast, you go, how do I remember DOFs? You go, dof. It's coming through your speakers now. Doof.
Yeah, that's right. See, when you're at gym, you doof music.
Yeah, doof music. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Antioxidant support.
Yep.
So increases exercise, as we said, increases free radicals and oxidative stress and that sort of thing. So the antioxidants help to neutralise that. So that helps with the cells, the muscles, prevents oxidative damage and things like that.
And what if you're old like me and have old joints?
Yeah, joint health, Steve. Joint health, muscle health. So joint health reduces inflammation in the joints, so very good for older athletes.
You're looking at me when you say that.
I just said ourselves, Steve.
Ourselves? You're 28, aren't you?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. No, someone said to me once, I'm 21. I'm on my third 21st.
Jesus.
63.
You are on your third.
I'm not 63.
No, you're not 63.
I'm not 63.
But you are in your third.
I've had 2 21s.
Yeah.
21, 40. Yeah, but I'm way off my third. Way off. I am way off my third.
I'm not that way off.
You're not that way off. You're much closer than me, Steve.
Jesus.
Anyway, enhanced recovery, Steve. So curcumin enhances muscle recovery, reduces the muscle damage and inflammation, and improved exercise performance.
Oh, well, geez, there's a couple of good little herbs you can take.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit off topic, but it's a little bit about the water. And it's very important that those two, and they do end up in sports drinks too, these things. I've seen them. So they're really good.
If you could pair them with some electrolytes, you'd be doing great, wouldn't you?
You'd be doing really well. So, Nic, I'm going to ask you about a weird water.
Yes.
You ready for this one?
Yes.
Called hydrogen water.
Yeah.
Now, what is hydrogen water? It's really easy. You just get normal water and you bubble hydrogen gas through it. And some of it sticks in there, like the chlorine, the chlorine sort of thing. Well, it's actually chlorine this time. It's not the chloride one. It's chlorine gas that's trapped in there. So it's like hydrogen. But it's interesting because it has some benefits.
It does.
And you've got a study in front of you there.
There's been it's been around the traps, the internet, that sort of thing. People say, it's a load of rubbish.
Sounds like a bit of a, excuse language, but a bit of a wank. But
it does sound like a bit of a wank.
But it's not.
No,
it does stuff.
So there's a paper we have here from the journal Metabolites.
Yep.
And it's the title of the paper is, it's a review paper, Hydrogen-Rich Water to Enhance Exercise Performance, a review of effects and mechanisms.
All right, so we want to drink water. We need it anyway. What's hydrogen water? Well, how does it benefit your exercise? Tell us a few points.
So a few of the benefits are, scavenges free radicals.
Nice, yep.
That's what we want. Regulation of antioxidant enzymes.
Great.
Mitigation of lipid peroxidase.
Yep. That's a free radical.
Yep. Reduction of inflammatory responses.
That can be associated with free radicals as well.
Exactly. Protection against mitochondrial dysfunction. Very important.
Very important.
When we're talking about performance. Regulation of cellular signaling pathways.
Wow.
Yeah. And it helps to enhance endurance, strength, power output, increase power output in strength and endurance.
Nice.
Reduce sprint times.
And you want to reduce
because it's really tiny, really tiny. Increased jump height.
Oh, yeah.
Peak heart rate, increased peak heart rate.
Nice.
Increased time to exhaustion.
Yep, want that.
And 30-second, increased rowing, 30-second rowing distance. So there's some of the things in this study that's actually been beneficial. So actually pretty cool.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, hydrogen water clearly has a lot of benefits for performance.
Well, it does. And the reason why is because if you imagine hydrogen is H, it's H2 in the water, but when it can scavenge oxygen, like H2O2 is the peroxide, so it's got too much oxygen. Too much oxygen means free radicals. Yeah. And there's like an O2 minus thing, that's a superoxide radical. And what you do when you take oxygen and bind it with H2, what do you get? H2O, which means it neutralizes free radicals.
I was waiting for that to be wrong.
But that's all right. It's right. I'm teaching you chemistry. Yeah, so you take the H2, add an O to it, you get H2O. So it neutralizes the oxidizers. So, I mean, it literally neutralizes free radicals.
Yeah, amazing, really, isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah, it's great. So
now, you've got to remember, hydrogen is an explosive gas.
You don't try and make your own.
Don't make your own. I used to make my own.
Of course you did.
Yeah, well, we used to cut up aluminium and put it in pool acid. And then put it in a plastic bottle like this and put a balloon over the top to blow the balloon up. With hydrogen gas, and of course the balloon would fly off because hydrogen gas is much lighter than air.
Yeah,
much lighter.
Yeah.
In fact, they were so good at that they made the Hindenburg out of hydrogen gas.
Yeah, it didn't go well.
Didn't go well.
No.
It was 36 parts away. I think that. No, it's really interesting these different types of water. And you came up with one this morning about something called structured water.
Yeah, structured water. So that's another type of water that's been doing the rounds.
Yep. And what it is, it's basically you put a magnet to water and it rearranges the water molecules because, as I've said, water's polar. So if you put a magnet to it, it polarizes the water so they all go one way.
Yeah.
And that has effects in people as well too. Not much evidence in it, humans, but it does have an interesting effect. So it's like magnetized water, but magnetizing water puts puts water in one way. So what's that going to show? We don't know. But
I mean, they say there's structured water in fruits and things.
Yep,
so that contains structured water. And they also say natural waters. So like from streams and things like that's structured water that the animals drink. So
do you want me to tell you why that's structured?
Yes, please.
Sorry, get physics on you here, but the Earth's got a north and south pole.
Yeah.
It's a big magnet. So there's, of course, water flowing through it, so it magnetizes the water, which is what I was saying before. Now, we make it by putting magnets on it, and that's what people do, but in Earth, naturally, it's already magnetized because if you've got a little compass, remember those little compasses, it always points north because it's a little magnet in there.
Yeah.
So there's magnetic fields going throughout the entire Earth. Magnetic field goes up there and protects the Earth from solar activity, solar winds.
Yeah.
So that's why we've got an atmosphere. Without the poles on our Earth, we literally wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So magnetization is going through the Earth right now. Birds fly north every year or whatever they do, south or whatever. They fly north in winter. They fly north in the winter in the southern hemisphere.
Whales
navigate it. So that this magnetic field is slightly important.
Pigeons.
Yeah, because how the Earth spins about 1,000 miles an hour, and the molten iron in there, when iron moves, it creates a magnetic field. Interesting, isn't it?
So interesting. Yeah,
I love it.
So structured water. So there you go. So, but then don't go out to the nature and, well, you could bottle your own water, but you want to be a little bit careful because there could be some parasites.
Yeah, you might get a Giardia infection, die of the dehydration we spoke about.
Or something like that.
Blastocyst. So but it is interesting. The natural water seems to be a way to go. But isn't that amazing? And so waters, not all waters are the same. There was an old ad in the old days, oils ain't oils, but water ain't water.
No, that's right. And we haven't gone into tap waters and what's in water, tap waters. We should, but we haven't. That's a whole other conversation on its own. But it's quite scary actually, and different types of water purifications and things like that. We could possibly do one on that if anyone wants us to do one on that.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one. Yeah, comment below. So Nic, this has been incredible. So really keep an eye on your hydration. Don't discount minerals. Look for minerals. Look for electrolytes. Look how much sodium you use when you're exercising heavily. A lot of our listeners do. A lot of them on the treadmill right now, I bet.
Maybe.
My wife will be listening to me on the treadmill right now, but she always listens to our podcast.
Now thinking about her hydration status.
She said, you're very intelligent.
Did she?
Yeah.
As I always like Beck.
Yeah, she's sweet.
Even though she married you, she's still got some good points.
Not very smart. No, but yeah. So she's like, so this is a really, it's not just drink water and you'll be fine. There's a lot to this.
There is a lot.
Well, Nic, thanks for today. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been good.
Hey, Nic.
Hey, Steve.
Guess what we've got today?
FAQs, Steve.
Yeah. It sounds
FAQs
like,
are
always,
back.
Always when you say that, it sounds like you're swearing. But
So, wait, if you do have an FAQ, because we're starting to get quite a few rolling in now.
We are.
Either you can send it in, customer service. You can you can write it below if you're watching on YouTube.
There's a link below, something
you can
below.
put in the comments or however you want to get us questions. But we always love answering our FAQs.
Well, the first one I'm going to read out to you is from my hometown of Melbourne.
Yeah, my hometown too, Steve.
Of course it is.
The best
I
place.
love Melbourne.
Really.
Best place, best thing. Yeah. But we lost on the weekend. Our Melbourne
I
Storm
know, I
lost.
can't believe that. I don't watch the football, but even I was devastated.
I watched it, but I was devastated. Yeah. But anyway, hey ATP crew, that's us. I've been hearing a lot about intermittent fasting lately, and I'm really curious about whether it can help with gut health. Some people swear by it, saying it helps with digestion, reducing bloating, but I'm not sure if it's right for me. I've struggled with some gut issues in the past, like occasional bloating or discomfort after meals. So I was wondering if fasting could be a solution or if it might make things worse. What's your take on intermittent fasting when it comes to gut health? Are there any specific tips or precautions I should keep in mind before trying it? Nic, fasting is interesting. Fasting just means basically not eating for a period of time.
Yeah. So there's time restricted eating, there's intermittent fasting, there's different. So, but yes, it can definitely. And I'll tell you one of the mechanisms is how it can help with gut health is we have something in our gut called a migrating motor complex. And that's
what that is.
Kind of a mechanism that basically sweeps everything through the intestines, sweeps it out, cleans everything out. But that actually isn't activated until 90 minutes after eating. Pretty sure it's 90 minutes. And it takes about 2 hours to complete its kind of process. So, there's people that have breakfast and then they have a mid-morning snack and then they have lunch and then an afternoon snack and then dinner. So if you can space out the time that you're eating, this isn't maybe so much intermittent fasting as much as just spacing your eating out to at least 5 hours.
Yeah.
You're going to allow because if you eat, it switches off the migrating motor complex. So it stops. So if you can go that 5 hours, then the migrating motor complex can go through its whole process, sweep everything through, which then reduces your risks of things like SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, because a lot of times people can have translocation of microbes in the small intestine, and that can be from slower transit times and things like that. Sweeps out all your bacteria and all that sort of thing. So that actually can be one way that it really does help with digestion. And another way, if you're looking at actual intermittent fasting, it depends on the person. It depends if you're a female, a cycling female, a male, a menopausal woman. It very much depends on high, stress levels, all of that sort of thing. But if you're very healthy, you don't have a lot of stress. Everyone has stress, but too much stress. You don't have any hormonal issues, that sort of thing. Then, yes, definitely can be really beneficial because you're giving your gut a rest. As I said, you're allowing it to sweep everything out, clean everything out. So 100%, yes, it can definitely help with resetting that sort of microbiome a little bit as well. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm always exercising fasted and, you can put off eating for a bit. I know you do that in the mornings, don't you? You don't eat till later, do you?
I don't usually eat till sort of 10, sometimes 11. Well, now I have to train earlier again because it's hot. So I'm eating a little bit early because I don't wait too long after I've trained. I'm with you. Because I'm older, so I have to maintain my muscle mass now.
At your age, geez,
I know, it's just like just melting away.
It does, doesn't it? Anyway. Well, that I couldn't add it. That's a perfect answer. That's brilliant. All right.
All right, next one. I'll read this.
Oh, you're really good. Yep.
I'll read this to you.
Yep.
Hey, Nic and Steve. I've been struggling with my sleep for a while now. So falling asleep, staying asleep, just overall quality. I've tried melatonin and it helps sometimes, but I don't want to rely on it long term. You got to cycle melatonin, by the way, people as well. So if people are on it all the time, it loses its impact. So cycle it. I'm really looking for more natural ways to improve my sleep. Are there any herb supplements or lifestyle changes you'd recommend that can help with better sleep and without making me feel groggy the next day? I've heard of things like magnesium valerian root, but I'm not sure where to start.
All right. Well, if there's full disclosure, we have a product that may assist in sleep, and I can say the name of it because it's literally approved for that, for the TGA. It's called Rest and Relax.
Yes.
Now, that will help you rest and relax naturally. And it's got things in it like ashwagandha, passiflora, and it's got all these great herbs that help you sleep.
Yeah.
So that's a good one, and I can say the name of it because it's for sleep. Yeah. But let's go beyond that. That really will. This is Tracy from Perth. This will help her amazingly with that. But other things you can look at things, depending on what's going on in the mind, like why can't you sleep? Now, I'm a big fan of getting out in sunlight during the day, and that's really important. I'll sit out there and get the sun in my eyes. I think that'll help you sleep. Exercise is very important to help you sleep too. But if you're thinking of supplements, magnesium is a good product to help you sleep because it takes your mind relaxing, and you want the magnesium diglycinate or the bisglycinate as it's often called, and the magnesium threonate.
Yeah.
Those two magnesiums will very much help you sleep, but magnesium in general will help you sleep too. So that's a good one too. Valerian root is a bit hit and miss, isn't it?
Yeah, I have. There is some people that really don't react well to valerian. Some people get nightmares from it. So some people love it. Yeah. So it just depends. But other things that you could try, I mean, those herbs are amazing, Ziziphus and things like that as well.
Well, you formulated it.
We formulated it, Steve.
What are we going to say? Ziziphus is great too.
Ziziphus is great. Yeah. I use GABA a lot as well, gamma-aminobutyric acid. I use that. That can be quite good, can make people feel a little bit groggy in the morning sometimes, so low dose. But just start with those just some nice herbs like passion flower. So the Rest and Relax really is very good for that sort of thing. So it depends on your age, depends on your hormonal status as well. Be looking at that, looking at your food intake during the day, your blood sugar levels, all of that sort of thing, stress. All combines to impact your sleep.
And what I do, and it's ever since we did that podcast on sleep, I've really made a point of having a yellow light, not a white light at night.
Yes.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I've changed all my lighting.
I've got a little app on my phone here that turns my little yellow light on in the lounge room.
Do you?
So I don't have to get up.
Yeah, actually I've got
a
one
Bluetooth
too.
globe.
Yeah, it's got a little dial and you can change the colours and there's all sorts. It's like the circadian lighting is now very, very popular.
Oh, I show you.
So a lot of it will change with the lighting outside. Will actually change itself.
Oh, I won't be able to connect to it from here. Oh, there you go. See how it's got the little...
Yeah, I got one similar.
So you can see I've got it on the yellow-orange. You can't get to it. Oh, yeah. For those who are listening, it's a little app on your phone. Now, what that means is I can sit there and turn the lights off and then turn that light on, and it's just enough to stop. It's really dull light.
Yeah.
It's a pathetic light. Like we're on the bright lights here. Yeah. But at night time, you just need light around so you don't trip over.
Well, I mean, a lot of people now, and my partner, who doesn't listen to this, so it's fine, I can say whatever I want, he's just redone all the lighting and he's put in those awful white LED things.
Oh, I did that.
White light.
That's why I've got this other light, because it is awful. So, it's great during the day.
Oh, it's great during the day. But he doesn't need them on during the day. He likes them at night because he can't see his night. So he's like these blaring white lights. I've gone around and you can switch them. So I've changed them all to dull yellow.
Switchable ones?
Yeah, they're switchable. So you can pull them out and change the tone.
So I've got old ones that...
But at night time, the dullest light you can. So and reddish light, sort of, so as the sun goes down, it goes that red, the purples and things like that. So the lighting is really important. And as we said, circadian lighting is really big now. So people come around your house and redo the whole thing for you. Wow. So it's pretty cool.
Geez, I just got this cheap old Bluetooth globe thing. But it works.
Yeah, they work great.
You don't need it bright. In fact, you don't want it bright.
No, you want it dull. I used to have salt lamps.
Everywhere.
When I lived in Melbourne, obviously I can't have them up here because they melt.
They do. They get humid because they're hydrophilic, as we developed.
Hydrophilic, as we said. Yeah, so there you go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good one, Nick. All right, well, here's the last one. Hey, Nic and Steve, I've been really trying to cut back on sugar lately. It sounds like everyone. Yeah. Because I know it's not the best for my health, but I keep getting these crazy sugar cravings, especially in the afternoons and after dinner. It's like I can't resist reaching for chocolate or something sweet, even when I know I shouldn't. I've tried going cold turkey, but it's made it worse. Do you guys have any tips of natural ways to manage sugar cravings? Is there anything I could be missing on my diet that's making these cravings stronger? Nick, how do you get rid of sugar cravings?
Well, you got to find out why you're having the sugar cravings in the first place.
Good answer.
So could it be your gut? Could you have maybe candida overgrowth? Could be something like that. You could have blood sugar issues, so blood sugar dysregulation. Could be maybe not eating enough or eating enough proteins and things like that, too high carbs, therefore you're sort of spiking and dropping your blood sugars and you're like, I just want something sweet to pick me up. So they could be some of the reasons why.
Yep.
Some hacks.
Yep.
Apple cider vinegar, I tell everyone to start with apple cider vinegar.
Oh,
it
yeah,
helps to
'cause
balance your blood sugar and it can take away that sugar craving.
Because there's acetic acid in it.
Yeah, really it's cheap, really easy.
Yeah.
So have a little bit of that if you're having a craving.
Yeah.
There's things like gymnemas, different herbs. You can get some gymnema, you can get some bitter melon. You can actually buy bitter melon in the supermarket and chop up some bitter things in your food can actually help with that as well. Berberine is good, but you've got to be a little bit careful. Don't just go out there and start downing heaps of berberine, but very good for blood sugar regulation as well. And look at metabolic sort of health. If you've got any issues with metabolic health, so be looking at that as well. But anything bitter foods and things like that. But apple cider vinegar is a really good one to start. Inositol is another good one.
That's a good one especially if you've got PCOS. It's extremely good. Big better analysis came out of that. Wow, good one. And that's Joe from the Rangs. That's our Male.
Yeah, it is.
Cool, Nick. Well, that's excellent.
Yeah, so send in your FAQs and we'll answer them.
Absolutely. We'll answer more next week. I'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good luck, everyone. Hey, everyone.
The tissues there. You're crying? Are you going to cry?
Oh, no, I'll be good. Okay, this is like clear the mind. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the ATP project. Okay, cool. Study. I know, not that dumb.
Oh, dear. No. It's just...
No, I know. I was just waiting for that. No. All right, thanks. Let's move on then. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yep. Okay. We shouldn't have stopped. Sorry? Sorry. No, we had to reset.
That's all right. It's all good.
Not really anything.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it. Yay.